Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. Happy Tuesday. Well, guys, it's Tuesday. Um, I'm still working on time management. We all have something like on this healing journey and etc. Just in general, because none of us is perfect, right? So I've been struggling with time management for a long time. It's getting a little bit better, but not where I want it to be yet. It's like the little kid that's learning to walk. They take a few steps, they step down, they fall down rather, and they get back up. And yeah, so, but nothing ventured is nothing gained. So I keep going and I'll figure this out on the way. But thank you all for being here. Like, let me give you an example before we get into this topic of discussion. Um, just going to the gym during my morning break, it's like, ugh, I only go like a couple of times a week. And so then while I'm sitting in my car and thinking about time management, because I have other things to do, there's a lot of things I have to get done during my break, the hours I have off during my break before I go back to work. Because when I come back later on, everything is usually about close. It's pretty much close. But anyway, so I try to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just. So I was able to do the time management for the gym, but it's just trying to make sure I do this and stay on program. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about, because it's not easy, but I keep going. Never give up. The point of all of this is never give up on yourself. You're going to make mistakes. Expect that. And don't be hard on yourself. Just let it happen. Just get up and keep going. I used to overthink things and procrastinate. Oh, should I do this first? Should I get that? Should I go back over here, etc.? And then nothing gets accomplished. So now I just do things and just, you know, and make a mental note of time management, of how many hours or whatever I'm going to do this, and then move on. Just keep going. you know um, Perfection is not needed. So, and I'm learning that as well. Just be yourself, do it in the way that best fits you. The point and key factor: never give up on yourself, guys. So, with that being said, I hope everybody is doing well. And let's get into this topic of discussion today. Um, One other thing, this topic of discussion that I'm going to talk about right now, in my spirit, I feel like some people who are listening, that this particular, you know, um, topic is going to resonate with some of you, and some people need to hear it. So I use my own examples of everything that I've gone through and how I've gotten through them, and the mistakes I made, which I'm going to talk about right now, and how I cleared it up. Because we all have something. None of us are perfect. You know, um, the key factor is to know we're not perfect. We make mistakes, to keep going. You know, and the topic of discussion here is turning to God in order to heal. Turning to God in order to heal. And this is what I had to do, because it would have never been possible for me to get from A to B to C to D. It's just not possible without God. And that's what I had to learn. I went through a lot, guys. 2020, 2021, 2019, no, from 2019 to 2022 were very difficult years for me, extremely. I went through hell and then a handbasket of some more hell. And it was so much hell that I felt like Job in a Bible. It's just like couldn't get much worse than what it was. And by myself, not having a support system, it felt like in a movie, the Titanic, being on a ship, and you think people have your back. This is somebody you known all your life, family, friends, whatever, right? And then the ship starts to sink. And the people who you thought had your back, they get off that ship. They get to a lifeboat, and they're on that lifeboat, but they're sitting there watching you drown, and they're not reaching out for you. These are the kind of snakes I had around me. And I had to learn and be seated by God to see what kind of individuals I had around me. It didn't matter, family, friends, whatever, whomever. I had to see it for what it was. And then my dog was sick and took a turn and fell down the steps because he had arthritis in his paw, and he missed the step, fell down, and then that was just the beginning of the end. Back and forth to hospitals, he's in pain, etc. While all this other hell was going on around me. My mother passing away, a good friend of mine passed away just unexpectedly, was found dead in her kitchen, and it just goes on. And other, the suicide, someone that I know, and just an acquaintance, and just, you know, committing suicide because of something going on in his life. And it just went on and on. And it was just, God, what is going on here? And so in order to heal all this stuff I was going through, before I wasn't learning lessons. Like I tell you guys, life is about people, circumstances, situations coming into our life for a reason, season, lifetime, or a lesson. And if we don't learn the lesson, it's going to repeat itself. And each time that will spin, that lesson is going to come back, and it's going to be worse than ever. And I wasn't getting it, wasn't getting that particular lesson, being subservient to other people, overgiving to people, letting people take advantage of me, making excuses, not seeing behind the mask that people were wearing. And they were using me like a doormat in and outside, and I was allowing it and making excuses. Well, if I just be patient with them, then things will turn around. No, I needed to set boundaries. I needed to stand up for myself, and I wasn't doing any of that. So in a way, God set me down, and all this stuff started to fall apart. This so-called foundation that I thought I had built with these individuals, because it wasn't built on a solid foundation, and it started to fall apart brick by brick. And all I could do was sit in the moment, and I started to get angry because every week something was happening. It was like a domino effect. This one was dying. This happened over here. This friend died. This one happened, etc., so forth. I lost about 12 people or more during the shutdown. And it just kept going and going. And I'm like, God, what is going on? And I needed God's help. But instead, in the beginning, guys, of me reaching out to, how people pray and ask God to help, I was getting angry because everything, like, I was losing so much. Why, God? I didn't do anything to deserve this. But like I said, lessons, if you're not learning the lessons, it's just going to, that wheel is going to spin again. That same lesson is going to come back, maybe different scenario and characters in play, but the same lesson. And each time it's not learned, that will spin again. It's going to come back. It's going to be worse and worse and worse. So this is what was happening. And it's my so-called prayer with God was spending time ranting and raving at him. God is a loving and merciful God, because if he wasn't, I probably wouldn't be here, because I was saying any and everything. I was so angry about this, but I wasn't still getting the lesson. I wasn't still seeing why this was happening. Like, it's like you build your house on cards and the wind come and blow it down. It wasn't a solid foundation. It was just people taking, had their hand out for something. Even if they didn't have their hand out for something, they always needed something. And I'm giving and giving and over giving, over here, running there, like a puppet on a string. And God set me down so that I could see this is not the way. This is not the way to do this. You're being used and abused. You need to see behind the mask that these folks are wearing. Stop making excuses for them. Stop grabbing their hand. People who didn't want to work, they wanted to leech and take and all of this. And I was making excuses. But I started ranting and raving and, God, why are you letting this happen? Who are you? And I was just going and going. And some of the things I said, I asked God to forgive me later. But like I said, he's a merciful, forgiving God, because he probably understood why I was saying these things, because it was just a whole bunch of chaos and craziness all at one time, like a domino effect. But what I had to learn, besides the lesson, is to trust God. Why am I trying to do all this myself? And I had to see first before I could trust God and pray to him and ask him to help me to heal, because there would be no healing without him. What I had to do is see why this was happening. And it took me a while to see that, people. And when I start to see I'm being used, the lies, the malicious lies about stuff I did that I've never done, that I would never do. And I don't even want to mention some of the lies and things that these so-called friends and family members were doing, behind the scene, trying to set me up for failure, doing the most and the worst. And when I really was sat down to see this and seeing it for myself, it was, oh my God. All I can say that I was in a deep depression until I start doing the work to heal. I'm not the same person anymore after doing the work to heal. People from the past would not even recognize who this Lisa Vaughn is today, because I am not that same person, and I never allow myself to communicate, too much on how I felt, because I would feel if I say too much, I might lose these people. But I didn't realize and understand they were never there for the right reasons in the first place. So why does it matter? They were only there for what they can take. It's like a leech that sucks at your blood, at your skin. You got to pull it off to get rid of it out of your life, off of you. And these people were there to take. They were not there to be a support system. And I had to learn to stop giving and over giving to people. I was going through hell, and I thought, some of these people have my back just to listen, just to support and be there, especially when my mother died. None of that. When the doctor called one of my sisters and told her, for us to say our goodbyes because mom was on her way out, and I had a conversation with her, I called a relative. Remember, I don't give specifics here. This is YouTube. But anyway, and a relative who I hadn't talked to in a while, to say mom is about to go. And I was so, the stress of it all and just the grief started to kick in a little. And I got cursed out on the phone. And I was like, what? And then I'm like, you don't ever have to worry about me again, because I promise you I would never call you again. I'm calling for support because my mom was dying at the time. And I get cursed out by a relative because this relative is holding a grudge, which she's probably going to carry to her grave since I was 17 years old over a pair of shoes, which is ridiculous. But my mom is dying, right? And I'm reaching out, family. And these people showed me who they were. So God set me down to show me, look what's going on. These people don't give a damn about you, whether it's family, so-called friends, whatever it is, they don't give a damn. Can you see you going through A, B, C, D, and E, and F, and G all at the same time? And it's like, oh, well, sorry. Not even a listening ear to hear, not even to support. And when I say support, just to listen, to hear. No, they didn't have time for that. But I was there for many of these folks. Even when I have to get up, I get up early, go to work, listening to people at 11, 12 o'clock at night, what they're going through. But no one was there to be there for me. You know who was there? people from a church that was near my house that I had volunteered at a soup kitchen. And it was COVID time, right? They came wrapped up in masks and they had cards for me. They had food. We're sorry. It was about 7 people from that church and knocked at the door. And we were right in the middle of the COVID. And they gave cards. We're sorry for your loss and etc. That was the only thing I got. Other people went their merry way. And now what happens, I'm talking to God, I'm angry and I'm like upset. And you got to do the work to heal. I didn't know where to start, people, about healing. What do I know about that? And after my dog died, it was just, okay, this is the end. And I just started praying, God, help me. I know I said a lot of things I shouldn't have said, but help me. I need help because I can't do this without you and I can't do this alone. And I took a step. The first step I took, people, was to do grief therapy. I didn't know where it was going to lead me. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I took that step. And as I took that step, for a long time, me and my therapist, we just looked at each other, because we had Zoom service, everything was shut down. I still do the Zoom service, but we just staring at each other. Okay, time's up. I'm going, and I did that for a long time, guys, before I really started to do any work. And when I started to talk with him, I was angry and he could hear it in my voice about everything I went through. And he didn't have a whole lot to say. What he did after listening, he said, Lisa, set boundaries. Set boundaries. And I'm like, set boundaries. And I started researching stuff about grief and people and situations. And I started setting boundaries. Well, these folks didn't like boundaries. So they started jumping and hopping across the boundaries. And I would reiterate those boundaries. Listen, I need to heal because this is too much for one person to go through all this. They didn't want to hear that. They had their hand out to try to get whatever. And I cut off, block, and delete. At first, I felt bad about it and talked to my therapist. He said, no, what were they there for? Were they uplifting you? Were they supporting you, listening to what you were going through? No. So he said, you did the right thing. And he didn't have a whole lot of words. It's just make a pro and con list. So I started to do that. And I started to realize the cons start to outweigh the pro list. And I'm like, there's a problem here. And then I realized, and talking to the therapist as well, you're overgiving. You're giving too much of your time. You're giving too much of whatever they want and need. And you're forgetting about your own needs. And that was one lesson that I had to learn the hard way, of course, because like I said, that will keep spinning and spinning. And if you don't learn it the first time, that lesson going to come back 2, 3, 4 times is going to be worse than ever. And so I start to do the work. I don't know how this is going to go, God, but I need your help. I'm doing therapy over here. And I started to research more about grief and all these things. And I started with music besides therapy, just a playlist of music. We were in a shutdown. We couldn't do much anyway. And just music, listening to motivational speakers about grief, and how they got through it. And then some of the things I start to apply within my own life, little by little. But what I noticed, I said, God, if I do this and I take a step, be there right there for me to help me. And every step I took, God took 2 and 3 behind me. And as I continue, I noticed God took another 2 or 3 steps on my behalf. It was a long journey and hard. It's easier now because I see what this is. Like I tell you guys, is the metaphor I use all the time is like you buy a box of puzzles. You turn that box over, it's 1,000 pieces in there. You don't know what that picture is until you start putting the pieces together. Then you see, oh, that's a bear in the woods. Oh, that's a picture of a car or whatever. You start to see and you continue to put it together until the puzzle is complete. That's what I had to do with this journey. What fits me, what helps me. I had to get creative with it. It wasn't easy. And more importantly, I had to first rid myself of these toxic individuals in my life who was there to take. They wasn't there to uplift me or help me. They were just there to drain me like a leech, blood sucking leech stuck to your skin. I first started with the boundaries. When that didn't work, cut off, block, and delete. And people were still trying to hang on like a leech. And I went into prayer asking God to help me because I can't do this alone. I start to really continue to move forward, no matter what, and no matter how painful it was. And God took steps to help me. And as He did that, I continue to move forward, guys. And, here I am today. And I continue. I've lost a lot of people, but they were not in my life for the right reasons anyway. And that's what I needed to learn, that these people were there for the wrong reasons. However, as I closed the doors to all of that stuff and people and situations that were bringing toxicity in my life, as I did that, God opened up new doors, because like I said, those steps I take, even if it's a half a step, a baby step, God was taking 2 and 3 because He saw I was doing the work. And I cried a lot of times, balled up in a corner, crying my eyes out, because I was losing so much. But what I understood about this, guys, what I lost, like people and things like that, I never had that in the beginning because they were never there for the right reasons. They were there to take. And that's the lesson. One of the lessons I had to learn. And the other one is to speak up for myself, to learn to love me, that I am worth it. You guys are worth it, just like the next individual. It doesn't matter about the noise that the people are talking. Let them talk. Let them say whatever. You are worth it just as much as the next individual. You have to do the work. And as you start to do the work, whether it's music, things that time for yourself, instead of time for everybody else. On a daily basis, take time out for yourself, whether it's music, whatever it is, to uplift your spirit, especially in this world today of toxicity. Never allow anyone to overstep boundaries that you set. Your mental and physical health is everything. And as you start to grow and take care of that, you start to heal. As you do that, you start to self-care. Self-care turns into self-love. Self-love turns into inner peace. And when you get to the place of inner peace, the noise don't bother you anymore. And when people from the past who I've cut off, block, and delete, try to come back, I just ignore the stuff I hear because who I am speaks for itself, in no lie. If somebody is easy to believe lies and gossip and toxicity without doing the research, then they're part of the problem and not the solution. That's how I see that, and those doors are closed. So God has me over here where I'm opening up new doors, and better things and better situations are coming in because of it. The noise, I block out. One of the other lessons, I'll say this, guys, before I leave today, that I've learned is the best medicine for all that toxicity and stuff, because I dealt with a lot of narcissistic individuals, is my silence. It doesn't mean I'm afraid or any of that. My silence speaks for itself. Guys, your silence will speak for itself, because when you don't allow yourself to engage in a drama and a toxicity, then you will reserve your peace and you build yourself up. And as you build yourself up, you elevate. You don't have time for the toxicity, the noise, and what they got going on over there. You're over here lifting up while God is opening up these new doors with better people and better situations for you. And I know that I could never do this without God. And it doesn't mean you have to be religious and sit in a church every week. No, connection directly to God. And He will help you when He see that you're in the upright. You're not out there trying to take from somebody. You're not out there, trying to premeditate some negativity on somebody, but you're doing the work and you're being genuine. He will take a step in a direction to help you as you ask Him and go to Him and ask Him for help. It's better to be at a place of peace instead of broken down into pieces, because people will take you there if you allow that. Know that you matter, self-love, because when you love yourself, you do things for your highest good. You don't settle for BS anymore. You do things that is for your highest good. That's the lesson today, guys. Sometimes these messages will resonate with you more so than others, but somebody need to hear this message today, and I'm using myself. If I can do it without having a support system around me, only with God and doing the work myself and a therapist, you can do it too, guys. You can do it. And if you have a support system, utilize that, as you go through these different things so that you can heal and be a better person. Take care of you. You are worth it. That's the message today, guys. Thank you all for being here, and share these videos with other people. Have them come on, listen, and subscribe to the channel, because they may hear something that may resonate with them, and they can apply it in their own situation, and it may help them. We're here to uplift and to help. That's the message again. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for supporting this channel. Bye for now.